Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel today. My name is Christian and today we're here to talk about the new record from Night Versus titled Into the Vanishing Light. Now I had really hopeful expectations for this record. I saw this band were supporting Issues on their last tour, so in my mind I thought that they may actually be quite decent. Having said that, Issues also took out Crown the Empire, who I think aren't a even decent band, and so there was optimism towards this band, but at the same time I didn't really have high expectations, and those expectations were met in a negative way. This album is not good. It's boring. It's hard to listen to at some points, and it dragged on for a long time. I'll give them one thing. For a post-hardcore band, which is what they call themselves, they are trying to be different, and they are trying to bring different influences into a genre that is very formulaic and generic, and so props to them for that. But the songs that they write and the way they incorporate those different elements make what they do really boring, and everything kind of just blends together and sounds the same. The first two songs on this record are absolutely awful. I chucked on the first track and I was lucky to get through that, let alone this entire record. The vocal performance on those two tracks is absolutely horrendous, and you'll see further on in the album, this guy actually does have a good voice at times, but when he goes for those sing screams or even just plain screaming, it sounds awful. It sounds like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's hard to listen to, and you can't understand what he's saying. He just sounds like he's yelling at someone, and that's not in a good way. There's people who do that, people like Caleb from Beartooth, who have this sing scream type vocal, but you feel emotion, you feel like they're just really invested in what they're saying, and in this it feels disingenuous and just completely has no emotion, in my opinion, and just feels like someone who's trying to do something that they can't do. And then they go into the third song, which is called Drift, which is a much different song from those first two songs. A lot softer, a lot more, I guess you could say, progressive, but as someone who plays progressive music and loves it, I don't find this to be that at all. It feels like they're trying to do kind of a late modern era Deftones kind of sound, but it just doesn't work. His vocals are better in this song. The melodies are a lot better, and he's singing in a normal singing voice without any screaming or anything, and it actually sounds quite decent. But a trend throughout this entire record is the songs are way too long. More than half these songs are over 5 minutes long. A lot of them have intros that go for over a minute that are drawn out and uninteresting, and you're just you just want the song to kick in, but it just doesn't for a very, very long time. And then when it does kick in, you don't care enough anymore because they've made you wait for so long with a passage that is so uninteresting and boring, as I said already, that this album reeks of repetition, and nothing really has any direction. Nothing really goes anywhere. It kind of stays at the same level throughout the entire record. No songs go from, like, it starts low and then builds and builds and builds to this massive crescendo. It just stays at this one consistent pace, which is just so boring to listen to, and it makes the record feel dragged out, and as I said throughout this entire review, just boring. There are moments of promise. There are a few songs where there are sections within those songs that you go, oh yeah, I can see what you're going here, and if they knuckled down and just focused on having sections like that throughout the entire record and making well-structured, well-written songs, then they could really have something, because when they hit it, they do hit it well. It's not mind-blowing, but it is decent enough that if they did a record that had that consistency throughout it, it would be a much better record, and would be more than just something that you play once and then forget about. And that's the main problem with this record. The vocalist, as I've said, is much better at singing cleanly than he is at those sing screams. He has a really unpleasant scream, and his singing voice is much more pleasant to listen to, and he can actually... He doesn't really convey any emotion when he's singing, which is a problem, because that's the thing for me with vocalists is I need to feel like they mean what they're singing. And in this record, that is something that I don't feel at all. And as I said, albums just... The songs take way too long to get into. It isn't a horrible album. There are moments, as I said, that are promising. And if they knuckle down and really focus on their songwriting and start to learn a bit more about structuring songs, and maybe they'll be able to put together a cohesive record that is exciting and not ploddy and boring. And so by trying to be so different, this band just feel even more mediocre, and once again, for the last time in this review, boring. So for now, I'm going to give my top 3 tracks. They would be Drift, Faceless Youth... Shit, I'm going to try that again. Number 1, Drift. Number 2, Faceless Youth. And number 3, Panic and Pull Your Heart Out. This album just really didn't do it for me. I hoped that I would be pleasantly surprised, and unfortunately it didn't do that for me. I'm going to give the album a 2 out of 5. Just really disappointed with this record, and hopefully when they come around to their 3rd record, they'll knuckle down on their songwriting, as I've said, and just really try and solidify their sound. Thanks for watching my video today. Please hit subscribe down below, and I'll see you next time. Fresh Currents.